Hello everybody out there and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review. Unfortunately, another week late. The books that were released in this episode were released on
December 23rd, 2015.
2 days before Christmas. So that's why the hats, even though we are not only past Christmas, but we are past New Year's, still got to be festive for the week of the 23rd's books. So, again, it's going to be more of a recap-esque review. We do have the books for the week of the 30th. We will be reading them. And hopefully, God willing, now that the holiday seasons are over, we will be giving you a review for the books that were released on the 30th soon. I'm going to see if our physical books come on Monday. If they come on Monday, then we will do a quick read and we will get that review up as soon as possible. It is a light week for the 30th. So it'll allow us to catch up and be ready for the first week of January, which is where reviews should be going back to not strict reviews. You know, Mike and I really are enjoying doing a recap-esque review. So the reviews might still be a bit short, but at least we'll have more time to go into a little bit more detail. So without further ado, Mike's behind the camera for a reason. Let's get into some digital books.
All right. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, issue number 22.
I really enjoyed this issue. Willow and Buffy's friendship is put to the test here because Willow decides to go work for the agency that killed their friends, and obviously they've said they've changed, and Buffy is having a hard time dealing with it. So Willow is dating her boss, believe it or not, and her boss is telling her that you know, sometimes you just grow apart. That's what happens. Friends sometimes just, you know, they grow up. And Buffy is relying on Spike for help, and Spike gives her some nice advice as well, and we find out the girl that was looking for Spike was an old fling from way back when who was inspired by Spike, and him and Buffy actually go to an exhibit because she's an artist. It was a really great issue. I like that Buffy's not all about just killing vampires. It actually has a really neat story that surrounds the characters as well, and it really invests you in those characters. So I really enjoyed this issue, and I love the artwork.
Grimm Fairy Tales, issue number 117.
I love this because as all the students are trapped inside Dreamworld, and we've already lost the Phoenix, she was killed, and Phil was killed. Both of them were confirmed killed in the beginning of the book. I made sure to read the last time in Grimm Fairy Tales to be sure that they really did die. They did die. And as a matter of fact, the boyfriend was notified at the end of the book. Sela was telling him what happened, and he kind of broke down a bit. But anyway, slowly but surely, they were getting shocked awake. Wolf was the first one that was shocked awake, followed by Ali. And we find out that Haley's still alive, but she's trapped in her water form now. And they fought against the Knight from Oz, and it turns out, this is a bit of a spoiler, so be prepared for this one, okay? He is Belinda's son, her long-lost son, and that's why she jumps in right before Wolf tries to kill him, and they both disappear. And she tries to reconnect with him. Unfortunately, he wants nothing to do with Belinda, and Sky is kind of a bit taken back, and towards the end she's like, you know, we're going to be talked to, we're going to be told everything will be okay, but now we need to step up and we got to stop hiding. So basically this is a big grow up issue for all of the students, and I feel bad we lost Phil. He was just introduced. I was hoping we get a little bit more with him, but I guess Pat has other plans in mind, and let's not forget still that Kilgrave is out there somewhere. I mean, Dirty Bones. Dirty Bones is still out there somewhere. Bloody Bones. Wow. I went through 3 names. It's Bloody Bones. Okay. Bloody Bones is still out there somewhere. And I have a feeling this is going to hit ahead real soon with all the way to issue 120. Pat's writing all the way to 120. That means he's got an idea for Bloody Bones for 120. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Voltron from the Ashes, issue number 4.
I like this issue. I don't want to mistake that. I want to make that known off the bat. I like the flashback where Voltron won, but Keith was the only one that was awake, and he went from line to find everybody. First one he went to was Pidge, and Pidge was still alive, but he's like, "Leave me, I'm dying." find the others, help them. And he's like, no, we all have to survive so that if because Voltron, in case we're needed again, in case Voltron's needed again. But in the present day, in the last issue, the team that was beating the main character's team, they died. And now the elders are telling them, hey, guess what? It's your turn now. And they're like, we were always second place. If they died, we're going to die quicker. And the weird part is, they got to the Lions without a problem. And they got the Lions going without a problem. Now, yeah, I know you can't have too many problems. Like, you can't have an issue getting to the Lions and then an issue getting them started. But it would have been nice. It would have been a little bit more story to it if it wasn't so easy. They all got into their own Lions. Jace got into the Black Lion. He took over as the leader, which we all knew that was happening. And, the Lions synced up. The Lions were fighting all the Robo Beasts. Then the big Robo Beasts come out, and guess what? It's time to form Voltron. They form Voltron. I love how, I forgot the pilot of the Green Lion, what his name was, but he says, that's legit. And that's where the book ends. I like that. I love the artwork. I thought it was great seeing Voltron. Voltron's back. I just thought they got the lines going a little bit too easy. And it just literally went, okay, fine. You want to fight? Here we go. I like the action, though. I'm really excited to see the next issue. I'm really enjoying From the Ashes. It just, I feel like they could have added a little bit more of a challenge for the team before they got into the Lions, but that's just my opinion.
Alright, the others will be my books now. Grimm Tales of Terror, Volume 2, Issue number 3. So in this issue, as always, I love a good scary story that Zenoscope always gives in this book. It's about two girls, this one girl is trying to find a guy on a, to be with and everything. And this other girl works in a medical office, doing little investigations. So what she does is that she tells her that, her boss uses a dating website. So she should try to find these guys on a dating website, and she makes a profile. So, as the issue continues, we find out that she's more outgoing with them, and then she's saying, I'm kind of going to be busy. Can you chat with this guy? Because, just don't make it sound boring, because she doesn't want to sound boring or anything. And she got used to talking with him. And I'm just going to skip to just the short of it. Ironically, though, after she, first of all, there's the Beatles that play in this story, and the main character of the Grimm Tales of Terror shows up in this issue. And they're these beetles that feed off of some type of dead bones and stuff like that. It was kind of graphic. And wait, there's a funny story to this, actually, as the issue continues. The girl who works in medical offices uses them to actually kill her roommate, to go out with this guy who she was talking to. And the guy who she talked to was the person who she works in the medical office with.
Wow.
Which was kind of ironic, and then in the end, she got what was coming to her because he's the guy that actually was the one that kept the Beatles, with all the other things, and yeah, she uses her to get that. So it's just
karma.
It's like that, but it's also saying, even though you change your look, just be yourself, and all that stuff. It was a long story and everything, but it was really something interesting to read, and definitely you gotta read the book to see that. Alright, there's a new Conan book, King Conan, issue number 1.
Yeah, I believe that's when he gets older.
Yeah, this is an older version of King Conan, and it's really more of his backstory. There's these people who are saying, oh, I was with King Conan, all the other stuff, and this one guy was saying there's no, Conan says, you have no scars, therefore you weren't with me, and he just slices them up and everything, and I was like, damn.
Oh, wow.
But we get a little bit of a backstory about the past, about how he became king, and how people were very loyal to him and all that stuff. And there's one guy who he actually did know from the past, who actually came to him to remind him about who he was, because he doesn't really he wasn't like this guy who just kills and does a barbarian stuff. And there's this bracelet that this guy wore that he gave it to Conan, and it was a voice that was showing him who he was before and everything, and it gets him to actually move forward and say the adventure waits for him. So in other words, he was like this person who wasn't Conan before, but then after a reawakening happened, now he wants to go on an adventure. It was a little boring in the beginning, but then it got adventurous. So I will say that much. But that's was a really interesting book. Coven issue 505, the final issue of Coven.
Coven.
Coven? I thought it was Coven. Oh, Coven. And basically in this book was just a whole witches battle of Baba Yaga against the other three witches who have Avril kidnapped, claiming that she's a witch and everything. Mm. And it was like this huge battle that was going on, and the knight, I can't remember his name, Avril was actually falling for him, and spoiler was that he got killed and he died. So after the whole battle thing was over, when she defeated the witches, she uses that power, Avril, of the witch's power, to bring him back to life and resurrected. So now it's saying the end is a question mark, meaning that there might be a volume 2 or something related to that. And there were a bunch of other books here, but I don't want to give too much away because I want them to definitely read the book. But it was a really great book. Definitely get it for trade paperback whenever that comes out, because they really just it was a really adventurous book for that. Escape from New York, issue number 13. Now remember, from last issue, Snake is not Snake anymore because he said that Snake is dead because he did the deeds and all the other stuff.
He pulled the old "I'm dead now" kind of deal.
Kind of like the Punisher thing.
2-1, he came back by the end of this issue.
Kind of, actually. Like, there was this thing where there are these thugs that invade his house, and then he's like saying, like, you shouldn't be in my house, and he's like saying, that actually felt good. Like, how they say, like, how they used to do what they did before, but then he goes back to his stories about how he used to fight and everything, and you can read that for yourselves. Then the government, because this is a farmland, said that they have a lease to, he went under a different name actually, to take the property away, and he's like saying, no, this is not for sale, you can't have it. And as the government tries to say, we will triple and double the amount of the money and everything, he still refuses, and they're not happy with that. So what he does is that he attacks them, which was a bad move because he sends now the other government and the other police forces to force him to give up the house, basically a SWAT team. And one by one, he just takes them out, grenades, this, that, and he doesn't give up. I mean, he was just like invincible right there. Just
the song "This Land Is My Land"? Well, that land is his land, and I wouldn't mess with that.
Well, however, though, in order to escape the whole ruckus of what was going on, he gets in his car and drives away. So I guess we might be seeing little by little Snake coming back to what he was. I mean, it took one issue for him to, realize that. Oh, and he has a dog too, as a sidekick and all that. But that was a really interesting book. I really enjoyed reading that. John Carter, Warlord of Mars, issue number 14.
I didn't get a chance to read it this time.
I actually did read it. And oh man, the adventures of John Carter and Deja Torres, they were in a rude awakening because they were actually traveling, going back to their homeland, but nobody's there. There's a story. Everything is empty, and John Carter's like, oh man, like saying, I protected, these are Deja Torres' people.
I know.
And they have statues of themselves, and he got so mad saying, I protected these people, and because he was wondering what was going on. So as the issue continues, remember the whole illusion thing of what was going on in the past issues? Well, there was a portal hole that actually brought them to one of the returning villains from long issues ago, and I probably didn't read that one. And they fought against them, and then he was actually telling him, I can't remember the villain's name, who it was, that all this was just one big illusion.
The whole thing?
The whole thing, like, when John Carter made those dents in the wall, they went back to, regular size. Like it was never dented. So what they did is that they tried to crash the ship into the thing to see if that could happen, which is actually the part where they met the villains after that whole thing. But they found their way to get back to the real world, where they met all her people and everything. And this is gonna probably be news for you. I think this was the last issue.
Oh wow, really?
Of John Carter, because I saw like the end and everything, and there was like people who were thanking the team for the book and everything, and I think this was the last issue.
It'll come back with a new volume.
Oh yeah, it'll come back. I mean, I really enjoy John Carter series, but we'll wait for it to go.
I have faith
for
that
now.
it'll come back.
But yeah, I'm sure it will come back, because mostly the indie books that we read mostly do come back, and I really give credit for them for all that they do. Alright, last book from the indies, The Spirit, issue number 6. This is more along the lines of the Spirit telling the two kids, Ebony and I think Charles was the other guy's name, the two detectives, really about his story about how he was on the adventurous thing, more about the Spirit himself. And there was a newspaper that was going around saying that he was alive, and one of them who was trying to cover it up wasn't going to be able to, because you got to find the Spirit. So his story was all just adventurous. He meets up with this guy in the cellar at first, and it was just like a whole big thing. It was kind of a little, I don't want to say boring, like it was a little bit interesting to find out his origin a little bit before he became the Spirit. And then basically it was just a whole thing where he was just telling them a story just about himself that's actually going to lead into the next issue, which I'm definitely looking forward to reading. But there was one character who he found out that made him say who was Melchior Cowlin, I think, if I remember the name, that actually played a critical role of finding out who he really was, which leads into the next issue. So really interesting. Definitely gonna look into the issue. It was a good issue. Okay, so now we're in the big two, which is starting with Batman and Robin Eternal, issue number 12.
Oh man, this was great. Okay, so the sculptor now brings Dick back to the past. We get her origin in here. We get how she teamed up with Mother, and why and how Mother was taking these orphans off the street and training them to be the perfect heir, while also deep inside their subconscious setting them up to be basically her army of, defenders. Whenever she needs them, subliminally she could activate them, like she's been doing in Batman and Robin Eternal since issue number 1. And what happens is we find out that the sculptor is the one that basically mind wipes all of them, or kind of erases all of their past to give them a blank new slate, so Mother could basically mold them into whatever she needs them to be, and also to set up for them to be her, her army when she needs them. And the reason the sculptor is no longer liking Mother is because Mother wants to do a new method, something even worse. And she didn't like joining Mother to begin with, but it was all she had. And then Dick finds out about Batman. And I don't think, now, here's the deal. I don't think what is being shown is legit. I think that Batman was doing it to get to Mother. But basically, Batman was saying that Dick is too unpredictable, and Dick realizes Mother basically set him up to fail in order for Batman to want an heir from her. And Batman basically said, Dick, he's not, it was a mistake to have him as a partner. I want you to help me. And she's like, okay, I'll send the orphan. He's like, no, I'll do it. And that leads back to the end of the first issue where Batman killed this one child's parents. Now, the question is, did he really kill them? And why would he do that? And Dick is kind of in disbelief. And I like how the sculpt is like, mother's influence is never, it's reached to people, and it just touched Batman too. And then we find out that the reason she gave Dick all this knowledge is so he could find the children. However, as him and Harper go to find the children, Cassandra's already there, and all the kids are dead. And we're left with it to be continued. Did she kill them all? Or were they killed already? I don't know. We'll find out in the next issue. This is an excellent series. I'm really enjoying it. Artwork is still really good, too.
Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, issue number 2.
Man, oh man, I am noticing several things in this book. Number one, I love the fact that Carrie Kelly is not saying anything. She gives the lieutenant this big story about how Bruce Wayne died, and when he died, she basically wanted to take up the mantle and, continue his crusade. And this is after she gets captured, and of course the lieutenant isn't buying any of it. She's like, look, you could do whatever you want, you could believe whatever you want, I don't care. She gets carted off to jail, to Blackgate. Somewhere else in the world, Hank Palmer is now trying to figure out how to save Kandor, because the Kandorians want to be, grown. They want to be full size again. So one of the scientists shares his father's data, or the stuff that he's gathered, and between the two of them, they're going to regrow Kandor. One thing I noticed about Superman and Wonder Woman's daughter, Laura, her feet never touch the ground. She is always flying. Even if she's this far off the ground, she never allows her feet to touch the ground. She doesn't acknowledge being human or Amazonian at all. All she is in her mind is Kryptonian, and that's how she treats, or that's how she expects people to treat her. She believes she's the superior being on Earth, and her attitude and personality kind of portray that. So anyway, Hank Palmer regrows Kandor, except there's a twist. And I'm not going to spoil that, but let's just say it's not what it seems, and it doesn't look like Hank Palmer survived the encounter. And then we go back to Carrie Kelly, who who finds a method to break away from the police. You want to know how? You have to read the book. And then the ending, let's just say she definitely was lying about Bruce Wayne's, or her sad Bruce Wayne, the way Bruce Wayne died story. To be continued. Awesome book. I'm really glad I grabbed this. Secondary story in the small book, or if you're like me and waiting for the collector's edition, same size story, is Wonder Woman and Laura. There was some really great dialogue there, and truth be told, it shows that Laura believes she is just Kryptonian, that she's not human, she's not an Amazon, and she doesn't have to act like them. And that's kind of why her personality kind of leaves me a little bit meh. I hope that Superman comes back, especially after the stuff that's coming out of Kandor.
Robin, Son of Batman, issue number 7, continuing the Robin War.
After this book, there's only one book left. So the Robins are now fighting the Talons, and they don't die, and they're having a hard time. Finally, they manage to escape the Talons, except they separate, and it turns out that, I forgot her name, mentions Gotham Academy, and that's where her Red Robin and Duke go. And it turns out that they are creating Talons underneath Gotham Academy. And as they're trying to escape, Dick is somewhere else. Batman actually makes an appearance, and there's this huge fight that happens under Gotham Academy. Dick goes and finds Lincoln. Oh God, his last name. Whatever his name is, Lincoln, who is the head of the Talons. I think it's Lincoln March. Whatever. And he's like, I know you want me, yada yada. You're gonna try to get me to join you guys again because I was supposed to be a Talon. And this whole speech happens between the two of them. He's like, you know what? I have a twist for you. Right before you showed up, yes, we did want you, but right before you showed up, somebody else came and gave us a better offer, so we no longer need you You're expendable. You could die now. We have our new Grayson. And it ends with Damian Wayne wearing a Court of Owls mask, about ready to fight, Red Robin and Red Hood. I'm excited to see where the conclusion to Robin Wars goes.
Titans Hunt, issue number 3.
I like this issue because the main focal point is Dick, Donna, and Garth. Garth and Donna fight back and forth. Dick is trying to figure out what's going on, and after Donna kind of knocks Garth out of the way, they're questioning how Dick knows Donna and how Donna knows Dick. And then Garth comes back. They get into a fight. Dick kind of tries to run off because too much is going on, and they end up crashing into this hut. And in the hut, there's a sign that says Teen Titans Hideout or Clubhouse. And this is starting to spark other memories between them. And they're like, there's something else going on here. And we find out more with Lilith, and that she knows there's more going on. And one of the heralds, basically, they need to remember so that they can go to this dark voice person. Speedy, or right now he's still Red Arrow, or Arsenal, gets freed by Gnark. I can't pronounce his name for the life of me, but he gets saved because Gnark's like, I know you're Speedy. So I guess Gnark knows what's going on, or Narc, or whatever, however you say his name, knows what's going on as well, and he's kind of questioning how he knows Arsenal. And you got the Dick, Donna, and Garth thing they're trying to figure out. And then you've got Lilith. Then all of a sudden this noise happens. And all the Teen Titans hear it. And so does Hawk from Hawk and Dove. Not Dove, but Hawk hears it. So next issue we're going to be seeing Hawk showing up in the Titans Hunt book. And basically that's the dark side, the dark person's way of getting their attention to go to him. Because Lilith is trying to prevent him from getting the Teen Titans. Why? I don't know, but I'm really interested in seeing how this is all going to connect to the old DC Universe and the new DC Universe.
Extraordinary X-Men, issue number 4.
I love this book. The final fight between the X-Men, Logan and Jean, are now back. The final fight between the X-Men and Demons. And again in this book, one thing I don't like is one of the students in the school who sees Iceman says, I really would like to talk with you. And I hope to God it's not about the damn thing that was invented back in All New X-Men. It annoys me and it irks me that they're really trying to bring this out in the forefront, in front of everybody. And it's done for, oohs and ahs instead of, for the sake of a story. There's no point to bring this up in this story. So after they fight the demons, they find out where Colossus and Ilana are. And they teleport there, and it's where Mr. Sinister is. And Mr. Sinister is testing on mutants against the Terrigen Mist to try to find a crossbreed and a cure. So when the mutants are hit with the Terrigen Mist, or basically he's hit with the Terrigen Mist, it won't kill him. And he hasn't found that crossbreed yet. And he's ready to do it to Ilana. He's gonna infect her with, or douse her with a bunch of the Terrigen Mist. And that's when the X-Men show up to save the day. Huge fight, awesome action. And I love how Iceman kind of points out, please tell me that you're more grandpa, granddaughter between Jean and Logan, and it's not anything weird. And they don't answer. So I like how Iceman's really the guy that points everything out, or the focal point of pointing out points. But in the end, we find out that Sinister has somebody. I don't know if it is legitimately that person, but we do get to see, spoiler here, Cyclops. I don't know if it's the official Cyclops or a clone of Cyclops or something, but apparently he has a crossbreed between Mutant and Terrigen Mist in Cyclops. I don't know if that's legit or not. We'll find out in the next issue, but Extraordinary X-Men has been fun. I skipped over a bunch of things because it was a really good book, and you guys should check it out. Storm is leading an awesome team.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, issue number 2.
This I read last week, but it's really a quick read. Devil Dinosaur promised his previous owner that he would protect anybody who had the light, basically the girl, and that's all he does in this issue is he kind of protects her and he walks around with her. You've got the monkeys who have also somehow crossed over, and they want the light as well, and they are sneakily walking around the city. I forgot what her name was, but she basically, Moon Girl, I'll call her Moon Girl because that's what her name's going to be in the end. basically tells Devil Dinosaur, we're done. I don't need you to follow me. Leave me alone. Stay here and don't follow. And he does. And then she kind of gets put in a precarious situation at the end of the issue. Hopefully Devil Dinosaur will notice something's up. That's the long and short of it, to be honest.
Venom Space Knight, issue number 2.
I enjoyed this. We find out more that Venom is kind of, his suit, now that it's been cleansed, it can hear pleas, pleas from distant worlds, and whenever somebody begs for, prays for help, it falls on his ears, and it turns out there's a whole league of the symbiotes. There's a league of them out there, of the clean ones that actually listen for people's pleas for help and actually help them. And he helps these people. He destroys this place that's stealing food and causing a bunch of war on the planet. The artwork is so gorgeous, though, and I love how Venom is drawn. And after he frees this planet, he finds out that he's being followed by others like him, and that's how we find out more about his calls and how he hears these 911, as he puts them, pleads from planets, and he actually continues on his mission to find out more about who was stealing from this planet, what rogue person was stealing from the planet. It turns out those people want Venom killed as well. I'm enjoying this run a lot more. I like the artwork. I like the story. I'm actually liking the new Venom suit as well. Is this the classic Venom? No, but it's something new that I'm really enjoying.
Alright, the next 3 on my books. Hellcat, issue number 1.
Why are you doing that? Could you pass me a Coke?
Oh, or Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat number 1. So what this book is about, it first talks about where she meets up with this guy called Conan, I think his name was. He basically has telekinesis powers, and when they get to, and then they get to know each other a little bit, and then they help people as working together, along with his telekinesis.
I like the
powers.
anime-esque art in this book.
Yeah, the artwork was okay, I would say, in this book. And they meet up with this guy who is now older, Pubs, I think his name was, and they show what he looked like as a kid. And they, grew up with each other and everything. And it was great, to see them. Oh, even She-Hulk was in this book. And all I gotta say is, as a lawyer and everything, you don't want to get her mad when you spill coffee on her.
I saw that part. Yeah, that poor guy.
The poor guy, indeed. He got like a black eye and all that stuff. But anyway, going back to where they meet Pubs and everything. So he actually helps the guy with telekinesis powers get a job because not a lot of people, have telekinesis powers and that can do this and that. And he was telling her a story about how he tried finding a job years ago, but not a lot of people accepted him for being a mutant and all that stuff, so, he kind of felt like he belonged and everything else. But there was lots of other things in this book that was more of a good read, and it's like kind of funny and all that stuff, but really something people should definitely look into. And everyone know. Oh, and Patsy Walker was a comic book, and that's how they knew.
Hellcat.
Well, not Hellcat. They're like saying, "Oh my God, you're that girl from the comic." And there was this girl who she wasn't really getting along with that actually did the book, and she talks about how her mom wrote these books years ago and stuff like that, who passed away and all that stuff. But that's where the Patsy Walker came into the title of basic comic book and stuff. More is explained in the book when you read it. SpiderWoman, issue number 2.
I laughed at the ending to this book.
Yeah, along with her battle of fighting against the Skrulls and everything, because the Skrulls were invading the hospital, and she can't really do anything about it because she's 13 weeks pregnant. So what she does is calls Captain Marvel to help out and everything, basically to help out the other people because she's with pregnant women. I like the strategy that she came up with of just, saying that her baby was coming and everything, and she just took out the 2 aliens. And then got the whole pregnant women together to form a plan about how to take out the other alien, or Skrulls, I should say.
Skrulls.
Yeah, Skrulls, I should say.
Because the other women were aliens too.
Yeah, because they were aliens. That's how I got that mixed up. And as more and more are coming, Captain Marvel is trying to, get there as fast as she could and everything. But here's the thing.
There's a twist.
And here's a twist. They're not on the regular universe. They're getting sucked into...
No, they are in.
Or they are in the black hole. And
black hole.
And Spider-Man's like, come again? Like, what did you say? Like, she heard, but she wasn't really happy with the answer because they're no longer on the universe. They're in a totally
they're not on
different...
Earth. Yeah, she thought they were on Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the hospital like saying, I can't find you. You're not here. Well, that's the reason.
That's why they can't leave the hospital.
Yeah, so I was not expecting that. That is something
I wasn't either. When I saw that last page, I was like, oh.
I was like, go in the door, but there's a black hole. That explains it.
Yeah, she thought she was underground.
Yeah, exactly. So did not expect that, but really great book. All right, DeadPool, issue number 4.
Number 4.
This was an okay issue because...
Are you ready for Deadpool Cable? I believe that comes next week. Or no, 2 weeks.
I did not know that there was a Deadpool Cable, but anyway...
Miniseries.
Yeah. What this book was about is that Deadpool doesn't want the other people who work with him to dress as Deadpool. Because of these certain events that have been going on and everything.
Oh, you're done. You can sit here then.
Oh, yeah, I am done. Yeah, that was the book. So, with that, he's just like saying, just go as yourselves, like you don't have to wear red anymore because of all that stuff of what's been going on, like I said. So he meets up with I can't remember his name, the guy who was pronounced to be dead, the one that knows about Deadpool's family and everything, and we find out actually who may be behind the whole Deadpool thing, and this was actually in issues ago probably, and why did I forget his name already? He was like someone that can impersonate as other people, like a cop, like he was actually in his mind, like he actually invaded his mind, and then they were actually like just
took
stuck
on
together.
The persona,
like he just got in Deadpool's mind and everything, and he didn't, like, there was no way that he could escape it or anything else. Like, this was just a villain who actually just played in the past that I didn't read into until the middle, because that's just me reading stuff in the middle. And when he dressed as Deadpool, he was pretending to be Wade Wilson, and that was the guy who was behind the whole killing of that guy, but he wasn't actually dead. He was alive to tell Deadpool that it wasn't really him. So it was just a whole big run around and everything, and then it was an okay issue. I'm just going to see how this plays out. If it's going to be the whole thing of, this guy did this, and I need you guys to be in the Deadpool thing and go after him. If it gets less interesting, I'm going to just drop the book. Because it's just... I don't know what it is about the book. It's like, there are some parts of the book that were interesting, but then there are parts of the book where I'm seeing it's going down a little bit.
Alright, so you gotta wait.
I mean, I'm seeing a pattern here, but yeah. So let's get into those.
Physical book time, and I'm starting with my indie books, which I have 3. Chew issue 53. I enjoyed this issue. Savoy asks Tony to meet him at a restaurant, and he introduces him to a guy who, through certain teas, can time travel. And he takes Tony back in time to explain the first Chibo people, the Chibo, how do you pronounce these damn things? Chibopaths. The original Chibopaths who disappeared somehow. And he's like, if we're not a team, then we basically, one of us, it's kind of like the Highlander. Either we work together or we're rivals, and if we're rivals, one of us has to die. And things go wrong. It's up to Tony to get them out of it. They get back to their time, And Tony basically, hard-headed as he is, says, I don't care, no matter what, it's never going to happen. We are never going to be partners. I don't care what happens. We're not partners. Never happening. I don't care what the outcome or what the thing is. And that's final. And he's like, you're going to regret it. And that's where it ends. So I'm really interested in seeing. There's only 2 more issues to Last Supper. I really want to know where this 2 more issues. I think it says. I believe it's 2 more issues left. I want to make sure. End of the Last Supper chapter 3. I believe there's 2 more issues left. I'm not. Oh yeah, part 3 of 5. So there's only 2 more issues left, and I'm really excited to see where things are going with Chew. Issue 32 of Saga. Alana and Marco are back, and they are looking for their daughter. They believe she was dead. This all focused on them, and I love how the daughter was back as the narrator, sort of. And she's like, even though my mom lost me, my mom and dad got back, they fell back in love with each other, and things got better. So while my mom lost me, my parents grew close again, and they were out to find me. They find out where Hazel is, and I like that they did find a moment to put into the book. Of course they did. But now they know where Hazel is, and they're going to go get her. And we also get to see the prince in the last couple of pages, and his son is not a baby anymore. So time has passed for a lot of the characters. We got to see a lot of the babies grow up a bit. And now Marco and Alana might be able to get their daughter back finally, and I think that's really awesome. Do I wish Marco would shave that beard off? Absolutely, but Fiona Staples' artwork is amazing. Brian K. Vaughan. This is a really great series. Saga is by far one of my favorite, one of my top 5 favorite Image books. But my book of the week, I think, because I'm trying to think if there are any of the... No, there aren't. This is my book of the week, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 53. Mikey is now with the Mutanimals. And we get to see Casey talking with Raphael for a bit in this book. And Raph is kind of asking Casey, how about you and April? How are you and April doing? You guys aren't seeing much of each other. He's like, that's fine. She's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing right now. I'm trying to find my dad who, he was released. He was rescued by Old Hob several issues back. He was freed. So we find out a little bit about that in this issue as well. But Casey's doing street duty. She's doing research about the scroll. And Raph says, you got to make sure you keep things, going. And then he kind of deflects by saying, so how is it to be part of the Foot Clan? And he's like, yeah, it is what it is. We get to see more of Mikey with the Mutanimals. They want Mikey to join. He's not too sure. I believe the artist changed in this book, because the artwork does look a bit different. It looks more like the way it was drawn before. I could be wrong, but it definitely isn't the way it's been the past 2 issues. So it's new artwork in my eyes, unless it's a new inker. I don't know. We get a little bit of April and her mother. Same thing. The mother notices that April and Casey are kind of doing their own thing, and the mother warns her, my father and your father and I did the same thing, but we finally snapped out of it. We figured we needed to get through it. We had to start working together. We had to start making time for each other, or else we were going to separate completely, and we didn't want to do that because of you, and we didn't want to do that because we loved each other, and we got through it. Hopefully you can too. The Mutanimals find out that there are guns being brought in, a hidden shipment. They show up to stop it. They stop it. Mikey works with them. We find out that the person that was bringing those weapons in is the same guy that was working with the Ghost Gang. So he's pissed off because he's sick of it. The mutants, the Foot Clan, if they want a war, he says, they're going to have a war. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then Mikey questions, so what happens to the guns? And Slash is like, oh, I suppose Old Hob just, he destroys them. So Mikey follows Old Hob, and it turns out Old Hob is not destroying the weapons. As a matter of fact, it looks like he's selling them. And I like how Mondo Gecko notices that Mikey's following Old Hob to see what he's up to. I don't know if he'll show up in the next issue, but It looks like Mikey's going to be in a bit of trouble, so hopefully Mondo Gecko does show up to help him. Really great development with Mikey's character, what's going on with Mikey, and what's going on with the Mutanimals. I like that. I like the development with Casey and April. Each book has its own special flavor to it. This issue was really good. I loved reading this issue. I don't skip a single piece of dialogue when it comes to TMNT. Sinestro 18, he's still fighting the Pale Bishops. Enough said. He finally, it gets to the point where the fight looks like it's about to waver towards the Pale Bishops. He releases the Manhunters. Half of them fight the Pale Bishops. The other half deploy Yellow Lantern Rings. And what do the Yellow Lantern Rings do? They find hosts. And all throughout Earth, they find Wonder Woman. They find Deathstroke. They find Scarecrow again. Harley Quinn, and then of course the biggest page of them all. If you saw the cover for the next issue, it finds Superman as well. So apparently it finds anybody with superpowers or abilities, and now it's going to be up to all of them to fight the Pale Bishops. I don't know about you guys, but I lost interest in this story arc. I really did. I'm just, Sinestro was so good when he was bringing his, the Sinestro Corps together, when he was building the army. That thing with Saint Walker, what happened with Saint Walker, we still don't know. This Pale Bishop story arc just, it fell flat. The series really fell flat, and the artwork change in the middle of the books was not helping as well. Hopefully things pick up for Sinestro at some point, but it's definitely my lowest book from the big two this week.
Alright, my book and the unfortunate final issue, Megaman issue number 55. Now, from what I saw in this issue, I could just sum this up. After Thomas Light gets electrocuted with this machine that he was working on, I just want to show the art though, because the artwork was really beautiful.
It's the last issue.
There are just so many things. Like I thought, okay, they're gonna end the new year, with all this of what's going on. Like he's seeing everything of what might become of Mega Man and other robots, and he's like saying, that Dr. Wally's alive. How is that? And I thought that this was gonna be like, this.
Oh, I remember how I told you I wasn't sure if Mega Man and Sonic Universe is continuing on, so you're safe with Sonic Universe, by the way.
Well, Mega Man is, yeah. It's just the unfortunate just end, where he wakes up after seeing all these visions and everything, but he just says that I know there will always be a Mega Man to protect us, even though the memories of what he saw will always vanish, and there's always hope. That right there just made this issue, and to be honest, I really want to save this for if we're going to special edition and or New York Comic Con and let them sign this, because this issue is something that final issue, I give credit to them, and hopefully I remember to save down the side for that.
Another really low book for me is Superman 47. This is the Harley Quinn black book polybag variant. I got the ink cover. Superman still part of Fight Club. Finally finds Horder-Root. They have a plan. He beats Horder-Root, but this time instead of Horder-Root kind of escaping into another body, he kind of gets copied over thanks to the girl that brought him to Horder-Root to begin with, and he gets copied onto this little piece of hard drive. We find out that Horder-Root is one of the sons of Vandal Savage. That's why Vandal Savage is connected. But they give the hard drive to Mr. Terrific to watch over. The artwork changes very suddenly in the book. Towards the, once we find out the Horder-Root actually possessed Jimmy. Jimmy was fine, by the way, by the end of this issue. The artwork changed when they went to Mr. Terrific's lab, and the artwork's very, very sketchy. And it turns out that at the end of the issue, Vandal Savage shows up, and he wants to take his son back. Now, I don't want to spoil too much. I did see the artwork. This is to be continued in the Superman annual number 4. Now, I don't want to spoil it. I didn't read it yet, but I saw the artwork for the Superman annual, at least.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is the right word. Let's see if I'm going to get through that annual if the artwork's that bad.
Oh, boy. He-Man the Eternity War, issue number 13. This book was another excellent book because it gets even more twisted in an interesting way about how
does He-Man come back yet?
He does in this issue if you give me a chance.
Okay, I was just wondering.
But yeah, we see Man at Arms who gets Triclops and beats him at his game and everything. And while Prince Adams is 12 years away in the depths of memory, trying to get over, the vision that he has going against Lord Hiss with the memories that he doesn't like about what's going on with his father, Prince Adam uses the sword to actually stab himself, but in a way, it actually lets him say that the father's like saying, the universe needs you, and it actually motivated He-Man to become of something else. And by the way, Skeletor with the blood of Lord Hordak becomes that and invades everyone there. So He-Man, Prince Adam actually saying that, yes, Father, I can do it, doesn't become He-Man, but he becomes of something else and tells Skeletor, let's finish this. A huge cliffhanger. I'm like saying, why did you do that, DC? Why did you do that? Because now I gotta wait till the next issue for this new and improved He-Man to go up against Skeletor, or the new and improved Skeletor. I know, that was like a really huge, just can't wait for the next issue. Really awesome.
Breaking away from that one shot that we got from Martian Manhunter, another Harley Quinn Black Book, Little Black Book variant cover. Got the sketch cover for Justice League of America issue 6. Finally, you've got Aquaman fighting Rao's followers. You got Superman fighting Rao and failing. Flash wakes up in the Infinity Corporation building and learns about Infinity Corporation and how there's going to be a crisis. Superman dies and everything dies. Wonder Woman breaks free from Olympus and shows up at Atlantis and actually helps to save Aquaman until there's a humongous explosion. Green Lantern on Krypton 25,000 years ago. 250,000 years ago, I'm sorry. He comes face to face with the Infinity Corp building. And, well, that's it. To be continued. No Batman, no Cyborg. Just a lot of hell going on in the present with Rao and the Infinity Corp building showing up 250,000 years in the past. Probably to find Green Lantern and bring him home because Wonder Woman's back if she didn't explodey. Green Lantern, if he finds the Infinity Inc., if he gets into the Infinity building, will be able to go back to his time. And Flash is in the Infinity building, so Infinity Corp building, so he'll be able to go home as soon as they get back to the present by time traveling.
Continuing with Vader Down, Darth Vader, issue number 14. And in this issue, one of these you're probably not going to like about what happened. But let's get to what happened first. So, basically, Darth Vader overhears that Master Luke is safe when C-3PO told Princess Leia about it. So, as BD along with 000... what's her name? I can't remember what her name is, actually. A Mistress, I'm sorry. With BD and 000, he's just like saying, bring the boy to me, alive and everything, and try not to kill him. So, Princess Leia was trying to ambush, Lord Vader with all those people around him, because she wants him dead because of what he did to Alderaan. So what he tells C-3PO is that he's like telling Commander Leia and the Amber Wings that Vader will be arriving at the position. So on her signal to shoot all the missiles and hit everything that they got. And he said to tell Luke and Han, I'm sorry. Basically, what she's going to be doing is suicide mission to get rid of Vader. So with Luke and Han hearing about it, he's like saying, they want to just go and save her. The Millennium Falcon goes down, where Kersantin, let me just show some artwork.
The Dark Chewie, basically.
Dark Chewie actually comes and goes after not Han but Luke. So as Luke is trying to go and save Princess Leia, Han and Chewie are distracting him from that. C-3PO, 000 takes over C-3PO's body and everything, and with all of the missiles firing and everything at Princess Leia and all that, at the end, Cobra Carbon comes in and says that I'm going to be victorious and you're going to bring me the boy. There are a lot of people that are going after Luke Skywalker.
He's a very wanted man.
He is a very wanted man, so it's like this is gonna be, if it's gonna be him against Darth Vader, that's gonna be interesting.
What part is this? I'm trying to find.
Oh, it's part 4, I think. Wait, let me check. I
think I got the connecting cover for that one just to
4.
see.
Yes, it is part 4. Yeah, because
2 more parts to go.
Oh wait, no. Star Wars 14 will be part 5, and then Darth Vader issue number 15 will be the last part, which will be part 6. So yeah, this is part 4. I was right. If you guys haven't been reading Vader down, really check it out.
Last issue, Amazing Spider-Man issue 5. Just like with Justice League of America, you took issue number 4, which was a standalone story, leaving Aunt May and JJJ Sr. behind. Spidey and Mockingbird are now going after Zodiac, which S.H.I.E.L.D. already was going after. And the fight's already long gone. And while Mockingbird does, really commend Pete for his obligation to his family, she punches him and says, I always make, and that's why she helped him, but she says, I always make my job my priority, my number one priority, and you will never do this again. And he's like, I understand, and I get what you say completely. So they end up going to Parker Industries in London. Pete kind of comes up with a plan. S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. Human Torch shows up. He brings him into this huge conference room, makes a game plan. Zodiac attacks the, where was it? The museum? The British Museum. Turns out somebody was hacking into, using Parker Industries technology, was hacking into the cameras in London, and Pete kind of suspects who it is. And, let's just say Spider-Man, Human Torch, and the others spring into action. They fight Zodiac. It turns out that, Scorpio, was it? I want to make sure it was Scorpio. Yeah, Scorpio, who's the leader, ends up attempting to kill every single other one of the Zodiacs because he did end up stealing something.
Does his eyes glow now, Spider-Man?
Yeah, his eyes, his symbol, everything glow. It turns out he was at the museum to find something. He finds it thanks to Parker Industries technology, and he, in order to escape, attempts to kill all of his cohorts. Of course, Pete ends up saving all of them. He blames Sanji for the hack in the system, but I believe it's Doc Ock, because Doc Ock is working as helper. He's hiding out, so obviously Doc Ock's kind of pulling strings and pushing Pete to do things he normally wouldn't do. I'm very eager to see how Doc Ock's going to come out of this helper robot, and is he going to clone himself? Is he going to attempt to take over Peter Parker's mind again?
No.
Because remember, this isn't the Doc Ock that said that Pete was the superior Spider-Man. This is the Doc Ock from Spider-Verse. I hope that he gets his own body again. I really want Doc Ock to have his own body again.
I hope he doesn't invade Pete's mind again. I mean, don't get me wrong, Superior Spider-Man was a great story arc and all that.
But that's it. One time around
one
is good
time,
enough.
not again.
And then it turns out Pete apologizes to all of England because he doesn't want, he said, Parker Industries hacked. The problem was solved. We fired the person's responsible. So Sanji's gone. I have a feeling she's going to look for revenge. And then he apologizes to one of his top investors in Paris, and we find out that his top investor is the person who's trying to steal all of his technology. He's Scorpio. There's some crazy shit going on in Amazing Spider-Man. It was an interesting story, an average read. I'd say 3.5 stars at most. I'm enjoying the artwork. I love the Alex Ross covers, but again, again, I want a little bit more. I want less Parker Industries, more Spider-Man, but I guess this is the angle we're going with for now, so it is what it is. And with that, that's it for this review, guys. Yep. As always, let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of any of the books we talked about here and any of the books we didn't cover here. Give us your opinions. We love hearing from you guys. You know, that's what the comment section is for, and that's why we like it. While you're down there, in the description...
I was just going to go behind the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah.
In the description below are a bunch of links. Check those links out at your leisure to things right here on Dark Avenger C86 and other channels that we are working on, such as Comic Frontline, Frontline Gaming Zone, Zone 4 Podcast, and the awesome Last Ember Press, which there's a lot of stuff coming out this year in 2016. Hopefully we'll be catching up with the comic review soon, but till then, guys, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys really soon in the next video.